Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jason. Welcome back to the channel and to a brand new album review. Today we're talking about Taylor Swift's latest, Folklore. So as a whole, I think the best way to describe this album is that it really just catches you off guard, and in a good way. I mean, I didn't even know this album was being released until I saw an announcement that it was just going to be one of those midnight drops on Spotify. I don't even think there was a proper single leading up to it, as is traditional with mainstream artists, but I really think that actually ended up working in favor of the album. It kind of sneaks up on you, and it set the tone for me going into it. At its core, I think this is a singer-songwriter album. I'm kind of shocked about that too. But a majority of the songs on the album actually feel very refrained and personal. I already talked about the lyrics and how they're very, to me, singer-songwriter. But the instruments and the production as well. I mean, it's stripped down to basically some guitars, some piano, synthetic drums, and a harmonica actually in one song. So it's very different from her traditional sound and her traditional music, and that to me is surprising because this released I think less than a year from her previous album Lover, which is a big pop production of an album, and it's really cool to see how much an artist can grow in that little time. But with that said, I wasn't completely in love with this new album. While I really appreciate the kind of departure in tone and genre that she had in Folklore, some of the stuff didn't really work for me. In about half the songs, I'd say there wasn't enough happening either lyrically, vocally, musically, or emotionally for me to just really sink into the song. A lot of them were they were a little too long and a little too repetitive within that time frame. There wasn't anything changing in the dynamic or the tone of the music. It just kind of stayed in this constant mellow, and that's great for some people, but for me personally, it just ends up feeling like a chore to listen to, and that sounds way more harsh than it needs to be. But I think if I had to liken it to something, it'd be like maybe watching a French film or something. If you ever watch those, I mean, they're great for the people who really like them, but you have to be seriously invested in that kind of a slow burn pace. So to me, the worst offenders of that were My Tears, Ricochet, which is actually in her top 5 right now on Spotify, a little surprising, I think. Then you have Hoax and Peace, which are the final 2 songs on her album. I don't think in that order though. Anyways, so a bit of a bummer of a way to end an album for me, just based on my taste, but there's actually, I think, 16 songs on this album, so there's plenty to choose from, and I can say that there were some definite bright spots. The brightest and most beautiful to me being hands down Exile featuring Bon Iver. I mean, to me, that song is the best of what Folklore has to offer. It's told, or sung, I should say, kind of as two people breaking up, I think. And the dynamic that they have lyrically in the song, I think is just wonderful. There's one lyric especially that sticks out that Bon Iver sings. He says, I guess I never learned to read your mind. And in the context of that breakup, I was like, whoa, that line hit a little bit different. And it was kind of another thing that I really liked about Folklore. I think it was a really proper title for this album. A lot of times I feel like album titles have absolutely nothing to do with the album itself. But this time, it felt like there were definitely a couple of songs that were trying to genuinely tell a story. Obviously, Exile to me was one of them. It was that is just such a great duet. I think it's called Next Great American Dynasty or Last Great American Dynasty. It's one of those two. That one was very much a story to me, and Betty I loved especially because that one, as far as like this whole idea of a song story, whatever you want to call it, for some reason, by the end of the song, when we get to, I think the key change, right? She's getting close to finishing, the climax of her story, and I was literally like, okay, what happens? Like, do they break up? Do they get back together? And I wasn't even really, like, it was close to the end of the album, so and it's a long album, surprisingly. It clocks in at like an hour and 4 minutes, I think, and I feel like a lot of albums lately have been around the 45-minute to 50-minute mark. But anyways, so it's a long album. You're getting to the end of it, then Betty plays, and it kind of re-energized me a little bit and got me back into the album because there were a couple of songs prior to that I didn't really love. This is getting real specific now, but another lyric I wanted to share from the album that really it kind of touched me, I guess, it's from the song Illicit Affair. And the lyric goes something like, you taught me a language I only know to speak with you, or something like that. That's the concept of it anyways. And, having dated a girl, it hits a different way, kind of like the other lyric from Exile hit in a different way. And I guess if you ever like been in love, whatever, you'll know exactly what it's talking about. And that is just, in a nutshell, what this album does best. So again, not huge into the whole rating system thing, but if I had to give some sort of, something to leave you with, we'll say, for this album, I would say that Folklore is a delightful surprise. So thank you guys so much for watching another album review. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe below. Until next time, stay safe, be kind. Thank you.